The Property Show brings you an in-depth analysis of the country's real estate development. Advice and tips from property owners, engineers, and finance entities that will lead you to owning your dream home. The Property Show.
There are so many questions that we ask ourselves when it comes to the City of Kigali Master Plan. What were the criteria that they based on when planning it? What are the benefits of the City of Kigali having a master plan? How far with the implementation? In today's episode, we get a clear understanding of all this and a whole lot more. And of course, not forgetting our advices and tips of real estate development that is going to focus on how you can stage your house for sale or for rent. I'm your host, Brenda. Welcome to the show. Before we get joined by our special guest, let's start with something fun. I want to share with you how you can bring that glam look to your bedroom. It's simple, it's fun, and it's pocket friendly. It's the luxury living, and this is how you can transform your house from ordinary to extraordinary on the budget. So, you know, the bedroom is often the room that we leave at the very last. But at the end of the day, that's where we end up. And of course, we want to be somewhere that is comfortable, somewhere that is luxurious. And unfortunately, because it's left to the last, we sometimes don't have the budget for it. But remember, with us here, luxury does not mean expensive. To us, it means you can do all the glamorous things, even if you're on a budget. So let's start with the luxurious or nice feel under your feet when you get off your bed. The feeling of something soft under your feet, it's a good way to start your day. It doesn't have to be high-end piled, just need to be something nice and warm. Second thing is eclectic designs. Collecting designs in bedrooms though, not the best idea. You want to be able to relax, and so you don't want so many things going on. You need to breathe, relax peacefully. As I always say, less is more. Third, the research found that photography of family was the worst thing to be put in the bedroom because we all have that one person in the family that you can't stand or reminds you of some unpleasant events. You don't want to think like that before you go to bed now, do you? So family photograph, it's a no. So how about you just use sketches that are very soothing and very calm, or photographies of places that you visited? Those will really do. Lastly, let's talk about mattresses. Now, this is where we talk about being on a budget. But when it comes to mattresses, this is something you really want to invest in. A good mattress is a good night's sleep. That's all we had for you today. Apply these tips and you can transform your bedroom from boring to a can't wait to get in.
Rwanda, it is grow up with construction. Every day you see a lot of buildings, and maybe this 10 years coming, this has a lot of construction buildings and areas. We wish to set up our factories here because when you import your product from Egypt, for example, or anywhere to Rwanda, somehow cost for transport and the shipping line and even time. And the cost for material, it is somehow expensive. But when you have factories, your own factories here in Rwanda, it will be easily and fine, even give us cheap and reduce the cost. This our wish. Just we waiting some plan for because our factories need a lot of electricity, a lot of fuel and some like that. We still negotiate with government about it.
In line with Rwanda's vision to become a knowledge-based middle-income country, different criteria were used to create the City of Kigali Master Plan.
Well, the criteria we see when you create the City of Kigali Master Plan, we normally actually call it City of Kigali Master Plan. Well, we based on the people's needs, and the vision's needs. Well, we have the country vision and the city of Kigali's vision. If we say the city of Kigali, we want to be the city of urban excellence as a grand vision. Well, we said what are the criteria now to reach the city of the vision of urban excellence in Africa? Well, this is what the grand vision of the city, but we based on people's needs and actually the history of the planning documents we had. So if we flash back to what we had as a planning context, we said all we had that people were constructing anyhow. People were constructing in wetlands. This is when we came to understand that there is no need of continuing this kind of construction sector. We have to change the views of preparing the long vision with the prepared city master plan. So the city master plan was prepared depending or sorting the issues from the previous background and then heading to our city's vision and the country vision. As I mentioned that we have the vision to be the center of urban excellence in Africa. We have set different goals to reach that grand vision. One of the first goals to be the center of urban excellence in Africa is to be the city of vibrant economy and diversity. We want to be actually the city of destination hub for finances and businesses, where people all over the world should come and join us here in the businesses. When I see that goal, we are actually expecting to have almost 11.5 million commercial spaces here, among which 0.5 are coming from industrial sector. So we want actually that goal to have a vibrant economy in the city. The second goal is actually to have the city of green transport. From the background, we didn't have these bus rapid transit lines, but what we are proposing in the future, in 2040 to come, we want a city of green transport, a carbon-free city, where we are prioritizing the public buses through efficient public transport and having dedicated bus lanes. The third goal is actually to have a city of a city of affordable homes. We want, by 2040, where we are going to reach that vision, our citizens in the city of Kigali to own a home, like 90% of the citizens to own a home, among which 60% should be affordable. Well, in other words, we want a free slum city. We don't want a slum city, no. In a vision to come, we want a free slum city. The fourth goal is actually to have the city of enchanting nature and biodiversity, where we want to preserve some slopes, heavy slopes, and our wetlands, so that we have a free wetlands from construction, and we protect we afforest the high steep slopes. These are actually the criteria we said, where do we want to go, where we're coming from, and where we're heading.
Engagement and participation with citizens was used as the initial method to ensure the master plan was feasible.
During the preparation of the city master plan, we had actually a so-called participatory planning, engaging all the citizens. Because we normally say this master plan is not for the city of Kigali. It's actually the master plan for the citizens that lives in the city of Kigali. It's actually up to them to plan what they want. So during the preparations of the city master plan, we engage the citizens, we engage the stakeholders to actually to express their opinions about why, or because we are preparing the city master plan in citizens' land. It's not for the government land. So it's up to you as a citizen to actually express this is actually the vision of the country. This is the vision of the city. All of these visions are going to be implemented in your land. What can we do? Of course, because this master plan, we are preparing the city master plan for citizens, not for vehicles, not for any other non-living organisms, but we are preparing the city master plan to cater the needs of the citizens of Rwandans. So the method now we use, we say, okay, let's start from the preparation stage to be involving the citizens of Kigali and in Rwanda in general, Rwandans in general, to participate during the preparation. While during the implementation, it's not now going to be difficult since they have already started from the background, from preparation stage, inception stage, up to the implementation stage. This is actually the methodology.
But what are the procedures of acquiring a construction permit in Kigali?
Well, the processes are simple now. We have everything online. The processes for acquiring construction permit, we have some professional bodies like Institute of Architects and Institute of Engineers in Rwanda. These are the people that should prepare the plans or the projects of the client. You as a client, maybe you don't know how to design your entire project, but you have a dream of your project. So you have to engage the licensed architect or licensed engineer to come up with a clear dream in the papers. So what they normally do is actually applying all the attachments needed in our checklist, construction checklist, and we issue a construction permit. Recently, or previous 5 years back, we used to have a queue before we digitize everything. We put everything online. But now we have tried to mainstream all the procedures so that it can be applied online. Everywhere around the world, we have the online application portal for permit. Everybody where you can see it, even in your office, everywhere you're in America, you can actually, what you have to need to have is actually all this checklist so that you apply online. We have actually our online portal. Then within 7 days, you get a feedback.
The City of Kigali Master Plan comes with constructing high-end buildings. Are there plans to solve the issue of affordable housing for the low-income households?
The way I see the vibrancy in economic in the city of Kigali, and the way I see how the city master plan is prepared and how we are implementing it, we have actually different clusters of some land uses where we need high-end, of course, commercial businesses, and the areas targeted for SMEs, these small medium enterprises. So people who are actually able to develop for high end, he or she has the right to develop the high end. If your income bracket is actually a big medium, there's area dedicated for you. I don't think that the developing high end is actually limiting those people to come in for low income earners because they have already dedicated areas for them. Having the city of urban excellence in Africa is to have the city of affordable homes. We are expecting that at least 90% of cities in 2040, by in 2040 we are approaching 5 million population. 90% of them should have affordable homes. I mean, should have a decent home, should own a home. Either you can rent to own, or you can rent, but you are renting a very decent house. We want a free slum city. But within this 90, we're expecting, or we want 60% of homes, residential one, to be affordable. As you mentioned, it's still a challenge. Why? Well, if you look at actually the way the progressive rate of these affordable homes, people are not, actually the affordability is actually a very subjective term, that the thing that is affordable to you is not affordable to me. But the basis, what we try to do is actually to have the housing study that describes what is affordable, depending on income brackets of citizens in the city of Kigali. At least we have done that to see who needs what. There's some part that needs social housing that needs to be assisted by the government. There's another part, I think like the majority of the Kigalians, like 54% of people living in Kigali needs affordable homes. It's actually a challenge. If you look at the population pressure and the urbanization rate we are in, and you can actually calculate that 54% of this rate is needs affordable homes, and yet the government doesn't have any land to construct these affordable homes. This is one of the challenges, because if we can actually engage some different investors to come in. Please, this is actually where we have a high demand. We have a shortage of housing. Why can't you construct as as an investor, so that you said house is affordable, right? If you go in calculation, you find out that the construction materials are high, the construction costs are high. So now, if, of course, as a businessman, you want to get a profit. So, well, due to different actual negotiations with investors, we say now the government should do something about maybe subsidizing some different infrastructures. That's why you have some ministerial orders. So now, as a government or a city of Kigali, we said we have to go a step further and try to acquire some lands, at least have some land banks. So if we have some land banks, I think if all goes as planned, this term or this goal of a city of affordable homes by 2040 is going to be achieved.
If you're planning on selling or renting your home, you have to think about more than just, okay, I need to get good resale or rent value for this home. Maybe I should paint it. You have to actually think about people's senses when they come into your home. There are things that could be going on that you don't notice because you live there. We get desensitized to the little squeaks, cracks, and smells when we live in the home every single day. So in today's advice and tips, I'm going to share with you a few things that you should pay attention to before letting people in. Let's start with sight. Are all the rooms clean and organized? Make all the beds the moment you get up. Fold and hang all the clothes. Open all the blinds. Let the natural light in. And on that note, when you're cleaning, please clean the windows because people want to look out at the view. This is really, really very important. Have all your personal belongings hidden. You don't want people going like, oh, cute little baby. No, get rid of all these family photos. We need people to envision themselves in this space. When it comes to smell, I think it's pretty safe to say that we want our homes to smell great. But here, this is what we want to avoid: artificial air fresheners. Because what ends up happening is that you may love the sense of fresh, crisp apple cinnamons, but other people might not. Also, artificial scents, it can give the feeling that maybe you're covering something up. Get rid of those candles. I know you like them, but get rid of them. Here's what you should do. Use the baking soda in the fridge. It works like magic. Put on some coffee. I think anyone would prefer smelling your pot of coffee other than a fish that you had for lunch. But if you're going to do the coffee trick, make sure you have some for the guests, just in case. So now it comes to sound. Let's say outdoor traffic, noisy neighbors, and all that stuff. You don't want to draw attention to that. Shut the windows and maybe put on some music. Make sure it's slow and really, really calm. Okay, how about the interior? Is the temperature comfortable? Are all the floors thoroughly clean, right? Are all the rooms free of hazards? And you may end up tightening up a few things like the doorknobs, tiles, cabinets, the list goes on. Those are today's advice and tips. Make your home inviting and comfortable as much as you can, and you will upgrade its value without spending much. The future belongs to those that can imagine it, design it, and execute it. It isn't something you wait for, but rather create. This perfectly defines what Dubai's Museum of the Future is all about. It was announced in March 2015 and will actively produce futuristic inventions and contribution to the United Emirates mission to be a global innovation center. This museum, rather than just displaying exhibits or publishing reports, will use design, technology, prototyping, and foreign to create a real example of change. This museum is the first of its kind and represents a leading example of entrepreneurial governments embracing change and creating futuristic visions for a better world. The museum will also be a permanent home for the world's greatest innovations, which will work into stimulating and incubating imagination solutions to the challenges of the future cities. As an integrated environment, this museum will bring together researchers, designers, inventors, and financiers from across the world together under one roof. Creatives and entrepreneurs will taste, fund, and market their ideas for futuristic prototypes and services. When it comes to interior designing, we think it has to be expensive to look good. Well, let's not ignore the fact that wearing something expensive, it doesn't mean it will look great on you. Same as your home. If you don't know where to put what and how, you will end up having nothing, probably something like a beautiful, expensive mess, if that makes sense. You should know that it's okay to ignore all these principles in favor of creativity. So let's start with going with something personal, something that makes you smile, and above all, it should be comfortable. Overly dressed rooms don't really translate in modern life, so less is more. Number 2, vary the scale. What looks good in a store may look like an elephant in the room when you bring it at home, or too tiny to be of significance. Number 3, create a focal point. Your focal point can be an art piece in the living room or a headboard in the bedroom. Whatever it is, choose something that will draw attention. Number 4, hang art at the right height. Galleries and museums hang art so that the mid-center of the piece is at least 57 inches to 60 inches from the floor. That's because the average human eye level is 57 inches. So follow those tips and they will look even more beautiful. Great thanks to our guest engineer Fred Mugisha for sharing his time and his knowledge. I hope you got inspired and of course you learned something from our advices and tips, our interior designing and everything that we shared with you. I was your host Brenda. I wish you well.